afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the first of 4 forums hosted by the NPC as well as the League of Women Voters.
Can't hear you, Jeff.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I don't think Tom.
I mean,
a good question.
this is a, okay, okay, questions.
How's this?
Gotcha.
How's this? Okay, all right. So welcome to the 2023 first of 4 forums that are being hosted by the NPC as well as the League of Women Voters. And we are fortunate to have our trustee candidates here to introduce themselves to you and also to share with everyone how they're going to help us meet the challenges today. We're looking for healthy discussion, and probably looking at about 2.5 hours long. My attention span is about 45 minutes, so we don't want to do it too far. But I think this will be a great use of time. Questions will be asked and answered, and without further ado, we're ready to begin. Our moderator is Mr. Funderburg, and he has been gracious enough to lead the way.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try that one more time. I know it's snowy outside. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. My name is Raymond Funderburg. Some may call me judge. I am a retired judge from the Circuit Court of Cook County. I am no longer a judge, so that's clear. I'm a former retired judge from the Circuit Court of Cook County. So if you hear people calling me judge, that's the reason why. We're going to get started this afternoon, and I was asked to read a statement from the nonpartisan committee, and the statement is as follows. Since 1955, the nonpartisan committee has provided forums to enable all candidates for village office to present their views to the public without expense to themselves. We have been able to do so with the help of citizens like yourselves to help maintain this tradition. We ask that you consider joining the committee or that you renew your membership if you are presently or already a member. Dues are only $5 for an individual, $5 for families, and $4 for senior citizens. This afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, we'll start by giving each candidate an opportunity to present an opening statement. We're going to start with the candidates for trustee, and then we'll later move to the candidates for village mayor. So each candidate will have an opportunity to present a 2-minute opening statement. We'll proceed in alphabetical order with respect to the opening statements. During the course of the forum, when a question is presented, a candidate will have an opportunity to present a 2-minute response, and also a candidate will have the opportunity to present a 1-minute rebuttal. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the opening statements. And Andrew Gladstone.
Good afternoon.
Proceed with an opening statement.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Gladstone, and I wish to thank the League of Women Voters, the Nonpartisan Commission, and you, Judge, for having us with this forum. we appreciate the opportunity to talk to the people of Park Forest. I was village trustee back in 1995. I have learned from my past, that is prior to 1995, that it is essential to have a history of Park Forest. My family moved here in 1951. Our family went through all of the various schools in the district. We all graduated from Rich East. When we went off to university, we all got degrees thanks to the education we received here in Park Forest. What is important about that is my family came back to Park Forest after university. I met my wife Georgette, whose family came here in 1949. That was before sidewalks, before roads, and she probably met some of the gangsters going through the swampland. But what is important about all of that is we are here as a family. We have been here since its inception. We are here today. We know what is in the village. We have worked within the village. I was a history teacher. I was almost everything, in fact, over at Crete Mooney High School, a dean of students. My wife was for many years a teacher in 163. My daughter, Danielle Gladstone, is still a teacher in 163. We know the village. We feel that this village has an essential beauty. We understand because we are with all of you. When we look at our town, we understand that we have problems, absolutely. But so does everybody else. The question is, and thank you for asking that question, the essential question is, how do we face the future? What are we doing to address the problems that we do have? Now, when I look at the preparation I have received to become trustee again, it is that we have our history, and we know how to address this history and grow into the future and bring all the people together so that we can handle what many of us feel is a very difficult, trying time. I feel that with the greatest of effort, we can take care of our business and handle it properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Okay, I thought we were doing alphabetical. Or you skipped, right?
Well, we're going,
Oh, okay.
oh, I'm sorry. I guess I have to learn my alphabet. I have to go then to Ms. Graham, Tiffany Graham.
Thank you, Judge.
Sorry.
Thank you, Judge, I appreciate it. Good afternoon, Park Boards, and thank you to the Nonpartisan Committee and the League of Women Voters, as well as the residents who have showed up today.
Louder, Tiffany.
Is the mic? Oh, there it is. Okay. Think I would be used to this, huh? This April, you'll be asked to vote for a candidate for trustee of the Village of Park Forest. I currently hold that seat, and I ask you to re-elect me. My name is Tiffany Graham. I've been a resident of Park Forest for 42 years, and I am quite familiar with the issues that the village faces. I grew up here, and I went through the Park Forest School District 162 and 227. I have over 20 professional years of civic and community leadership experience, having served on the following boards: President of the Park Forest Rotary Club from 2012-2014, member of Tallgrass Arts Association, Vice President of the League of Women Voters 2016-2018, membership chair currently of the League of Women Voters of Park Forest, member of the Park Forest Youth Commission and Sustainability Committee in 2011, member of the Real Race, Equity, and Leadership Steering Committee, founder of the Southland Rotary Club, and currently I am the trustee liaison for the Youth Commission and the Human Relations Commission. Since being elected to the board in 2015, I have actively worked with our boards and village staff to improve the economic growth and development of our community. It is important for our village to be transparent, and I am a strong believer in transparency. The community residents should be informed of how their tax money is being spent. My family has owned a business in Park Forest for over 35 years. With that being said, I I realize the importance of doing business in Park Forest. I spend a lot of my time with our current business owners, making sure that they're aware of the resources that are available to them, as well as making sure we take the necessary actions to ensure that they receive the professional services and support that they need and deserve from our community. I am a strong proponent of encouraging people to shop local. And I will continue to be a strong proponent for that.
Thank you very much. Now we'll have Mr. Moore, and in all candor, I was looking ahead, and I apologize to
No
you.
problem.
Mr. John Moore, you're next.
Thank you very much, Judge. And thank you to the nonpartisan committee for local government. I've got to pay my dues, but I will say I think I'm a sweat equity member because since I was a little kid, I used to fold these little booklets back in the 80s as we were getting ready for them. So I've already said to my mom, I'm a sweat equity member of the nonpartisan committee and the legal promoter. So I guess I got to start paying dues, but that's how we go. So just so you know, I'm John Moore. My family moved to Park Forest in 1974. Why did we move here? My parents wanted to move here for better education for their kids. There was my older brother Jeff, who went to Ridge South, my sister Jennifer, and myself went to Ridge East. But we came out here for a better education, but we also came out here at a very interesting time. It was 1974. And Mom tells a very interesting story. That's something that we should understand about when we talk about the history of Park Forest. We moved into the house, or we were actually pulling up to the house the day we moved in. And my grandfather, who lived in Joliet, was already here, and he was sweeping out the garage. And his first words to my mom and dad was, they didn't burn it down. See, at that time, when black families moved into predominantly white communities, it wasn't always the safest thing to do. But Park Forest was a different kind of place. And it's that experience that literally is why I love this village. After college, I went to the University of Dayton. And after that, I lived in the city from about 92 to 2014, and I returned back in 2014 to basically help my parents in their twilight years. And it's been great. I've fallen back in love with the village. I think the future of the village is great. We've got some hard decisions to make, but we also have some great opportunities. And when I realized that there'd be some openings on the village board, I said, you know what, let me go ahead and work with the village I love even more. So thank you, and I look forward to these next 2 months and engaging with the residents of Park Forest.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Joshua Travis, you have an opportunity to present now an opening statement, sir.
I'll present, but it's Randall White. No. I'm not Josh. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, but nonetheless, my name is Randall White. Thank you again, Judge, and thank you to everyone that put on this prestigious event. I'm super excited to sit here. If I wasn't voting for me, I would vote for these three because I'm a fan of each and every one of you guys' work. So just want to say that. I'm a lifelong resident of Park Forest. I'm actually a homeowner. I've been here my whole entire life. I've done a number of different things as far as youth programs and events for the village. One of the big things is our back-to-school event that we do each year. I'm also the vice president of Park Forest, Chicago Heights, School District 163. On top of that, I am a new pastor in Park Forest. I am the pastor of First Baptist Church of Park Forest. So I apologize for my tardiness. I was preaching a sermon today. I'm here because I want to bring a voice to a different generation. Park Forest stands on the shoulders of many great and wonderful people that came before me and before us, and I look at them as heroes in my mind, in my eyesight, because Park Forest is the only home that I know. But I want to reach and pass that baton and that anvil to a new generation of upcoming leaders that have the same passion and the same fortitude as those that came before us. And so I'm excited for the next 2 months to work diligently to win some over and hopefully get those that are not on my side, to win them on my side. Passionate about Park Forest. I want to continue the work that I've already done here in this community and to better Park Forest for all Park Foresters. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have another question from residents in the audience, and I have this list.
This is for, it says mayor. Sorry for the interruption, so to speak, or the interlude. We'll now get started, ladies and gentlemen, with questions of the candidates. And I have been provided with a series of questions that I'm going to ask all of the candidates. And the question is, what do you plan to do in working with law enforcement to reduce crime in Park Forest? We'll start off with Mr. White. Your response, sir.
Yes, sir. It's a great question. First, I want to say Park Forest has some of the best law enforcement in the entire country. I've worked in Detroit. I'm actually a chaplain in University Park, but I went to a Detroit chaplain's training where I worked with a number of police officers there. It's supposed to be one of the best in the country. And watching their program and how they operate, I see some of the same things that's mirrored here in Park Forest. A major department like Detroit having some of those same mirrored things here in Park Forest. I thought that was wonderful. One of the things that I would like to do is to find stationary points, to do some type of research to see where and what time, which I believe they're probably already doing, but just to pinpoint that a little bit more, where and what times are most of the crimes happening between the hours and at those particular places. I call hot points, station police officers, send a car there, probably the station, or to drive through to make sure that, you know, they're just patrolling the area. So that would be one of the things that I would like to implement, to just see some more police officers, some more patrol officers that's out and about. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
Yes, you know, one of the things that we're fortunate with is that we have a very strong police department that's got a great relationship with the community, and I think we need to build on that, right? When you look at places in which there's higher crime rates, when you look at places that when there's problems that do not necessarily solve them, it's because the relationship between the communities and the police department is horrible. And so we need to make sure that we cultivate programs and support programs that really bring the community and the police together. When I was a kid, that's when we first started having school resource officers at Ritchie's. And one of the things, I think it was an unintended benefit, but it was a benefit, was children was able to develop a relationship with police officers. And when we were doing the things that we should be doing on the weekends, right? And we would run into the police officers, a lot of times it was a first day basis, right? It was like, hey, you know you should be doing this. So the more that we can do to bring the village, or the residents of the village, especially young youth, and the police together in circumstances where it's not a response to crime, where it's not a response. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Graham?
Thank you, Judge. I will continue to support our police department in their endeavors. I believe that we have, like everyone else said, we have a very good police department, and they're very responsive. And one thing I would like to see, though, is more POP officers in certain areas, because everybody has their own POP officer. You can find that if you go on the website and actually search for POP officer, and it will show a name of an officer and a phone number so that you can get in touch with them directly. And if we could have like more than just one per area, I think that would be excellent. And I think that would continue to decrease just senseless violence that's going on in Park Forest.
Thank you. Mr. Gladstone.
Yes, I appreciate the question, Judge. The community cares a great deal. And as individuals, there's a limited spectrum of things that can actually be done by that one person. Our community needs to coordinate a number of different things. First of all, there has to be a significant training for specific needs. I would recommend that we have a better outreach to the schools. As Dean of Students at Crete-Mooney High School, I helped organize the community policing that allowed the police to communicate directly with students. We should have that at all possible levels so that we can have greater insight into what the students are actually thinking. They need to be aware before the student knows the police are actually trying to figure these things out. Further, we need to have greater community outreach to instruct all of the people that they have an obligation to help our community also. We need to call the police when we're aware of things, not say, no, I don't think it's my time, somebody else will do it. What is essential is that we have greater involvement with all aspects of our daily lives involving crime and involving safety. We need to have a way to have the police go out and check on our senior citizens who are perhaps in distress. We need to have things that can help all aspects of our community.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone wish to present a 1-minute rebuttal?
Not necessarily a rebuttal, just to add on to what Mr. Gladstone said. We, at 163, we do have a great community police program where we have officers often in the schools working with the kids, and also to Mr. Moore said, just that relationship that needs to be built with the young and the police in the community. We're doing that as well at 163. And so we have officers in there, they create programs that they partner with the kids and do games with the kids just to get their faces out there with the youth in this community.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll move on to the next question. The next question is, and this is a question for all of the trustee candidates, how are you going to fight our high taxes? We'll start this round first with Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore.
Oh, well, this is something real quick, I have a question. That timing went off really quickly. Is that, do we have 1 minute or 2 minutes?
1 minute.
1 minute, okay. One of the things you really need to do is work on, we said talk about high taxes, but we're talking specifically about high property taxes, right? And we have to, the challenge that we have is a significant portion of our budget is supported by residents, not commercial. So we need to do a better job of attracting businesses. But unfortunately, no matter what type of efforts we do, and I'm on the Economic Development Advisory Group, we still run into where we're not attractive for businesses because of those high property taxes. So we actually have to work with not just the village, but with the assessor, with the county, with the Board of Review, to make sure that our properties are really evaluated fairly. Because right now, we literally have a number of properties in this village that are not paying taxes. And so for those of you who are paying taxes, your taxes are larger. In the last assessment, we realized that we lost about 1,000 property owners who no longer pay taxes. And if you have fewer taxpayers, the taxpayers that you have end up paying more.
Thank you. Ms. Graham?
Thank you, Judge. So most people are unaware that the Constitution states that the state has the obligation for financing the system for public school education. The state should be paying at a minimum of 50.001% towards public education. Currently, the state of Illinois only contributes 26.6% to public school. The fact that Park Forest doesn't have a lot of business, the Board of Trustees, the mayor, or even the village manager is not the reason the property taxes are high. It's our state public funding school formula. Every single school district receives its own funding. District 227 doesn't even get 20% of the state funds. And that's the reason why Park Forest has the highest taxes in the south suburbs. We need to support the flat tax. If you would like to know more about flat tax, they have a flat tax Zoom every first and third Wednesday of the month with attorney Mario Reed, trustees Adam Winston from Glenwood, and Cassandra Metz from Olympia Fields. And I posted the link on my Facebook page, Friends of Tiffany Grant for Village Trustee. So if you'd like to attend, please look at my Facebook page.
Thank you. Mr. Gladstone?
Taxes in Park Forest are remarkably interesting. Unfortunately, that's not a joke. And what we look at with our taxes is a multiple grouping of problems. We have more taxing bodies in Cook County than in Texas, California. We have taxes here in Illinois. If you look at your property taxes, you see the village has not that great an impact. The school districts are roughly 65% of your property tax bill. It goes all the way down to Thorn Creek. There's a taxing body for that. There's a taxing body for the library. There's a taxing body for mosquito abatement. What we need to do is become involved and run for all of these various political bodies. We need to demand that we understand what is being spent. We need to coordinate what we do as a village with what the school district does, so there isn't any redundancy, so there isn't going to be any squandering of the money that we give to them through our taxes. We need to make sure that our village is protected by our participation. We need to demand of our local government that we get out to these other places and try to create the essence of communication. We become partners with 163, with 227, with 162, with Stager. We have all of these different taxing bodies, school districts, that impact our property taxes here in Illinois, in Park Forest. We must get out. We have to increase our participation. We have to allow that with this participation, we will ultimately succeed. But we cannot stop. We must demand that we all do this together.
Thank you. Mr. White?
Yes, I'll try to be quick. I know the time goes pretty quick. Illinois is one of the highest taxing bodies in the nation. Cook County is one of the highest in Illinois, and Park Forest is one of the highest in Cook County. It is a problem. Park Forest ultimately has some of the highest taxing, is one of the highest taxing entities in the entire nation. With that said, yes, like the other counterparts stated, we have to work with our Cook County assessor. We have to put pressure on the Cook County, and yes, I said pressure. He's an elected official. We have to get them to come in and evaluate fairly what our properties are really worth. Not only that, yes, indeed, we have to work with our schools. I believe the only way that we can do that is consolidation. Other school board members might get upset because that loses power and influence, but I believe with consolidating the schools, bringing the schools under one umbrella, that will save us as well. In real estate, they say one thing, and we all know this, it's location, location, location. We have to be more innovative, excuse me, and focus on not just downtown Park Forest with our businesses. We have to look on the outskirts. It's unfortunately, we don't have a lot of land to focus to get businesses attracted in, but we do have areas on Western, and hopefully we can use South Trail as well. Thank you.
Does anyone wish to present a rebuttal?
Not to what I remember the last time, not really a rebuttal, but a
You
follow-up.
may proceed.
But what Trustee Graham mentioned is really important. It's unfortunately, a lot of our problems with taxes don't reside in this building. In 2010, the village was equalized assessed value was something like 220 million. In 2019, our equalized assessed value was like 129 million. And that was not because of one decision made in this building. It was because the way they changed the formula on how they evaluate their properties, was the way that they changed the way that they tax the co-ops and the rentals. And when you lose that much equalized assessed value, then your revenue drops. And when your revenue drops, but you still have similar expenses, you have to raise the taxes on the people who are paying taxes. So I think, and Randall brought it up as well, we do have to put a lot of pressure. And I think what we really need to do is, we can blame the schools, we can blame everything, but if there's less money coming into the trough, the money that the people who are paying into the trough are unduly burdened. So I think we really need to, as Randall said, put pressure and work, not only put pressure, but work with other bodies to really make sure that we have a fairer system. Because our system is unfair, not really decisions that are being made in this building.
Thank you, sir. Mr. White?
I just want to add, as Vice President of School District 163, I brought in personally our Cook County assessor and had him address the community from that standpoint of why and how and the things that we can do to change this tax situation. And as a trustee, that's the same thing I want to do. We have to work with is a better word, to bring in that he can address the community at large of ways that we can work on this tax situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gladstone?
Yes, there is a point of our taxation that has been long fought in the state of Illinois. Motor fuel tax is distributed equitably based on the numbers of people living in a given area. That's all well and good. Sales tax is not distributed, but we also go to regional shopping areas and we spend our money and pay our taxes to Orland Park or to Tinley Park or wherever, and they realize the benefit of our tax dollars. The sales tax is not distributed equitably. We have long since brought that up, but the powers that be down in Springfield have resisted distributing that money equitably because money is in Orland Park. Money is not in Park Forest. Therefore, we are abused and we are not allowed to share in our commonwealth. That's why we must organize. We must reach out to all of the various communities which suffer our disparity and get all of those communities, all of them within our given area, to organize politically to demand, not ask, that this horrible inequity is straightened out so that we benefit from our money rather than see it go off to some other school district that needs it less directly than we do.
Thank you, Mr. Gladstone. Any other rebuttal? We'll move on now with the next question, and this is a question for all of the candidates. What are your plans to eliminate some of the vacant homes? We'll start this round with Ms. Graham. Ms. Graham.
Okay, currently, what we're doing is, we have the Eastgate development neighborhood, and we're trying to redevelop Eastgate. Right now, we have demolished 83 homes, and that means that we're going to be able to rebuild and put those places back on our tax roll. So they're not going to be just blighted homes in Park Forest. We actually have a solution that we are working towards. We do work with the South Suburban Land Bank, and that is who redevelops these blighted homes. Once they get demolished, then they get resold and back on our tax roll. And that's exactly what we need, is to have the demolished homes, well, the blighted homes on our tax rolls.
Thank you. Mr. Gladstone?
We all know of homes in our areas that are in distress. And the consequence is all of the neighbors in that particular area are in a different form of distress. We don't like these homes being derelict, being abandoned, being taken over by foreclosure. And demolition eliminates that immediate eyesore, but it doesn't go back on the tax rolls very quickly. It would be on the back on the tax rolls if somebody was to buy that vacant lot and rebuild. I don't know how often this has been done, but in my neighborhood that's never been done. What we need to look at is working at ways to improve the housing stock of those people who live now in Park Forest. It's pie in the sky when we presume that if we take this action, more money will come in. What we have to do is actually work towards the betterment of neighborhoods, and there are ways to do it. I think that what we need to do is organize the community better in terms of its growth and value to the people still here. Downtown is a perfect place to start. If we have a committee where our citizens and the businesses currently there organize a way to present the downtown as a viable place for meetings, for fairs, for sales of God knows what. We could have any number of different gatherings and have all of the community participate. We could have antiques, anything, come in, and if we have a given number of things that the people would like to have, our downtown would benefit, and because of that increased spirit, we would find that our community generally is going to be the direct beneficiary.
Thank you. Mr. White?
That's a very complicated question, but as a individual, not a trustee, I'm actually working towards that myself. As a new pastor in Park Forest, I've been reached out to by Habitat for Humanity. And what they do is they help new home buyers fix their credit, but also they come in and they purchase low-value homes, and they get mortgages from the bank. They purchase these low-value homes, fix them up, and let these home buyers come in and purchase these homes at a low cost. And so right now, that's what I'm currently working on through the ministry to alleviate some of these eyesores in the community, but not also only that, to put these homes back on the tax bracket. So yes, it's a complicated thing. Tiffany Graham, Trustee Graham stated a couple of things that the village is working on now, but as an individual, I'm working on some of those things myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Unfortunately, this is directly related to the last question about taxes, right? When you have vacant homes, when you have homes that are on the market, that have been on the market for a while, why is that? And in many cases right now, because of our property taxes, if someone is in a position to buy a home, rehab a home, invest in a home, Park Forest might be a little less attractive. It's affordable, but the taxes are a problem. So I think, while we definitely think we have to work with the land bank and come up with some of these innovative products, it's like putting a Band-Aid on. Realistically, we have to address the property tax issue. One of the things that we have to be mindful of, and we have to be able to approach this without setting off alarms, is in the last couple of years since COVID, Park Forest had some of the highest home sales in its history. Well, guess what that means? We're right now going through revaluations with the assessor's office. So when the tax bills come out in '24, they're going to go up. And in addition to trying to get the current vacant homes occupied, we also have to be fearful of the people who might be burdened in '24 by the new round of taxes. So we definitely have to use the existing programs, work with the land bank, but we also have to continue to do what we can to address our property tax issue, because we will continue to have vacant homes if we don't get this issue under control.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal? We'll move on then with the next question. And this is a question again for all of the candidates. What is the plan for repaving some of the streets? We'll start this round with Mr. Gladstone. Mr. Gladstone.
When we have Park Forest, and we know there are streets in Park Forest that need desperate, serious, and immediate repair. A lot of the money that comes from the motor fuel tax goes directly into repair of our street paving, the infrastructure. And the village has its plan. It's unfortunate that it's sometimes too slow. We need to have it accelerated. We need to prioritize, and that's based on reviewing the budget, seeing what actually can be done. And that necessitates community involvement so that the government will, our local government, will realize the immediacy and the need for a given area. They have a 5-year plan for repaving roads, but they also react to immediate needs as citizenry will declare it. And that's what we must do. We as citizens must become more immediately involved.
Thank you, sir. Mr. White?
I don't know the village's plan to pave the streets. I know as a homeowner, and on my street, it's a lot of holes that it's tearing up cars in my car as well too. And so I think it's definitely need to be addressed, but I think it first needs to be addressed. I could be selfish and want just my street, but it has to be addressed with the major traffic areas first. Western and Illinois Street, the major areas first have to be addressed. With that is also being innovative and looking for other materials that we can use that can last a little bit longer. I don't know if it's something out there, but it will be something that I would love to do research to find out if there's other materials that we could use that can just last a bit longer than what we've currently been having now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Graham? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mr. Moore, stand corrected.
Well, you know, as I was going to say Commissioner Wright, I was just talking about as relates to, you know, how do we move forward, how do we innovate? One of the challenges that we have is that we were very successful, we're more successful in not increasing the tax levy. You know, we want better streets, but how are we going to pay for them? So we have to look for innovative sources, innovative funding. We have to look at outside sources. What support does the state, the county, even the federal offices, what support do they provide? Because while we want great streets, I want great streets. I'm a runner, I'm a jogger, some of you guys may see. I'm really not a jogger. I'm very fat right now, so I move very slowly. But that being said, I get to see the streets and the sidewalks up close, because you know, the sidewalks are also in disrepair. But as we approach this problem, we have to look for funding sources. So we have to look for funding sources that don't necessarily put a lot of burden on our already burdened taxpayers, right? So innovative ways, you know, Antietam was just resurfaced, and that was strictly because they were doing some water repair. So I'm seeing the streets resurfaced, but oftentimes I'm finding that resurfacing is not necessarily the intent. It's usually because there was some other infrastructure that was done. But continue to work and take care of our streets.
Thank you. Ms. Graham?
I will continue to work with the village staff to get grant money to resurface our streets. As Mr. Gladstone said, it may be coming in slow, but it's getting done. We did start with the main streets such as Orchard, Western, Indianwood, and it's funded by grants, so it's not a burden to our taxpayers. So it's getting done, but it's not at a cost for us. We use grants for it, and we can't utilize grant money for just anything. Like if we say we want a grant for Orchard Drive, we have to use it for Orchard Drive. We can't do it for Antietam just because we need it. We have to actually get funding for each section that we want to get done.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next question. The next question is for all of the candidates. The question is, there is talk that Orland Park will hold a referendum on abandoning the council manager form of government. Do you endorse or oppose Park Forest eliminating the council manager form of government? Please explain your position. We'll start this round with Mr. White. Mr. White?
That's just simple to the point, no. I think it just keeps us transparent, it keeps us working together. I think that the council form of government is the best form of government. I actually think that every government is really moving more towards that, even those that are not. It keeps us transparent, it keeps things just open and on the forefront that we can have a collective group of people that's more involved instead of just having the burden of that falling on one person's type of decisions. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
I'm opposed to it. Park Forest is a long tradition, and we have a very strong staff. You know, one of the things I think that oftentimes happens, and I'm running for office, I'm very, very mindful of this. Too oftentimes people get elected to office, and they're new, and they think they know more than the staff, the professionals who've been running not just Park Forest, but the school districts, the villages. And it's really important. I'll give an example. Recently I was at an event, and well, 2 years ago I was at an event, and one of the mayors had just lost. It was a village that kind of did a lot of patronage, and the mayor was upset because he was worried about his staff, what would happen to them with the new mayor. And I looked at the person I was with and I said, you know, that would never happen in Park Forest, because you need consistency. You need the consistency that our form of government provides. And could you imagine wholesale changes every 4 years if we were to abandon our method? So it's really important that we maintain this form of government because it has served our village and served our village very well.
Thank you. Ms. Graham?
Thank you, Judge. No, I do not agree. I think that the council form of government gives us the knowledge and comfort that there is not one person that has their hands in the pot. So I personally know for a fact that it works for Park Forest, because in all of the audits I've been through in the last 8 years that I've been trustee, we have never had a case of fraud, and we've never had even an inkling of a case of fraud. And the reason is because of the council management form of government that we have. There's checks and balances. It's not just one person, so we know where our money's going, where it's being spent, and how much is being spent.
Thank you. Mr. Gladstone?
When I was on the board a few moons ago, the board was never in distress in terms of our jobs. We were making policy, we represent the people, and we have the people and their best interests served by the mayor, by the board, but we hire our help to do the job where they are the experts. We get advice from the village manager. The village manager finds the best people available for a given position. And Park Forest has really been well served by the people who have served us, the board, and us, the people of Park Forest. I'm not in favor of ridding ourselves of this very, very solid and community-oriented program.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal?
Yeah, well, not really a rebuttal, but just something to add. Just think about this. We have some really good things going on in the village. And we have an election in April. If we had the different type of form of government, whatever we're working on right now could be derailed if there was a wholesale change in the elected body. And we know that while there's 5 of us vying for 3 spots, we know that our village staff is going to stay the same, and I think that gives me comfort. So I think we should continue to have this form of government.
Thank you. Any further rebuttal? Moving on to the next question. And again, this is a question for all of the candidates. The question is, residents and elected officials have, for years, wanted more economic development in the village. Why do you think efforts have been more successful? And what would you suggest to address the issue? We'll start this round with Mr. Moore.
So the not more successful. Kind of goes back 3 or 4 questions to the whole tax issue. But one of the challenges too is what is smart development, what is smart economic development. For years we've wanted to bring back a grocery store to downtown Park Forest, to the former Jewel. We were excited, I wasn't, but the village was excited about Jet Foods coming in. Jet Foods didn't come in. I wasn't really heartbroken because I was not excited to go to the Jet Foods grand opening in March and then show up for the grand closing in December. We need to make sure that we have good and smart economic development, understanding, and I think you mentioned it, Mr. White, we talked about making sure that we develop business along Sauk Trail, high traffic areas, where we develop business on Western, high traffic areas. Making sure that we are consistently going ahead and doing innovative things, and we're learning, and also making sure that the village and the residents know to support local businesses. When I was a kid, we used to always tell people to shop Park Forest. I have not really heard people recommend that. Like, we need to support the businesses that are here. We need to, how many of you in this room actually get your prescriptions at Walgreens or CVS? You know, we need to make sure that more of us are doing that. So we need to make sure that this is also an attractive community for villages to come so that they know that their, the residents will support their businesses.
Thank you. Ms. Graham?
Thank you, Judge. I'm a strong proponent for encouraging people to shop local. That is something I do very often, and if you check out my Facebook page sometimes, I'm always directing somebody to go to a new place in Park Forest. There's so many places that we have downtown that people don't even realize that we have. We have Tallgrass Art Gallery. We have our own art gallery. We have a theater here, Theater 47. Heads or Tails, Ventrendi Winery, Dolce by Dory, Lolo's Gourmet Cookies, Artistic Flow, Down Fitness, Stacy's Bistro. And these are places downtown that you can just go to. And a lot of people don't even know that we have them. And in case you haven't heard, we're getting a new barbecue spot in Park Forest. Also, if you looked at my Facebook page, you'd know that I have been supporting these people. They've been at our farmers market all year, and well, all summer, and they have excellent barbecue. All Out Smoke Pit will be next to Dolce by Dory in a few short months, so look forward to it.
Thank you. Mr. Gladstone?
The economic development of Park Forest has, for many years, since the decline of the center or the plaza, or I'm not sure what it's called now, the downtown area. And what we have not really been able to do is to make it a go-to place. It needs to be a place where the people of Park Forest want to go there. So the question really is, how do we do that? And I believe that if we organize a committee and its job is to organize a functional means by which the downtown area is attractive, the more people who go there, for whatever the reason, the more businesses that participate, and we can get businesses from out of Park Forest to come in and share if we have a fair, if we have a convention of some sort along the sidewalk. If we organize for various activities, more people will be willing to participate. The more that happens, the more businesses may well consider Park Forest economically viable. Without doing something to augment the downtown area, not much is going to be changing because we're landlocked. And we're not going to be getting in Steak and Shake or Amazon outlets or anything else that somebody may have brought up in the past. That's not going to happen. We need to make this a viable downtown by having all of us involved, having all of the businesses currently here and currently on our periphery come in and participate in the organizations and the presentations that we make. And that's what I would do to solve the problem, or help solve the problem, of our downtown and economic development.
Thank you. Mr. White?
Yes, it goes back again to what we said earlier about taxes, but I would focus more so on, again, like I said, location, location, location. I love the idea about building up downtown Park Forest, but we've tried that motto for a number of years now. Even with what you said with Jet Foods, it doesn't generate any new traffic. So the only people that will actually be shopping there is people that know about it. And like Trustee Graham said, a lot of people don't know about it. So if we focused in on South Trail, focused in on Western, and focused in on trying to get back the land that Park Forest sold many, many years ago where the Jewels was on Lincoln Highway, we would have a prime location that we can attract new people to come in. And it would also attract new businesses. They want to be seen. So location, I think, would be the key to economic development. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal?
Yeah, I think one of the things, and I'm on the downtown Park Forest Master Plan Committee, and one of the things that we're trying to do is the village also needs to be making sure that we're doing adequate programming. The art fair, Main Street nights, the farmers market, those are all essential. You know, we're never going to have a high volume business in Park Forest just because of location. But we also have to be mindful of, and my concern is, even with some of the higher volume stores, we look at Walmart in Olympia Fields. That's great, but that's a future vacancy, right? Because after Walmart gets its tax incentive, as it runs out, that's going to be a vacant building. So we have to be very mindful of matching the right type of businesses with the village. I think what Trustee Graham said about the barbecue place coming in, that's great. We need places where there are more destinations, right? That don't require X amount of dollars per hour per square foot. That people who can, and food, and you know, food places are a place that people will go to. You know, we're all excited about Stacy's being open. We're hoping that something comes. Stacy's looks like it's going to come back. So those are the type of places I think we'll actually cultivate. But I'm really optimistic about the downtown Park Forest plan, and I encourage all of you guys to check it out. It's really exciting.
Thank you. Any other rebuttal?
Yes.
Mr. Glasgow.
Not a rebuttal, really.
You may respond.
A response. The benefit of growth in, or working at growing the downtown is that with this committee that's functioning and solely interested in growing the development of the area, we can reach out to surrounding businesses that may well want to increase their participation. If we don't ask, we don't get. What we need to see is that we are optimistic, we reach out, with each effort, we re-examine what has worked, what didn't work, and we make sure that it's improved upon. We must make sure relentlessly that we are renewing faith in Park Forest and that we grow it by having all sorts of different fairs, sidewalk sales. I'm not remotely concerned what it is, so long as it works. And with our community working at it, it shouldn't fail.
Thank you, sir. Any other rebuttal?
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes, I definitely agree. We have to focus in on what we're bringing that's going to be attractive to people that's coming out to participate or shop at these particular places, but location is still going to be key. And when you do that, you have to ask what's working now, and I've done that by talking to the business owners that have their businesses at downtown Park Forest. A lot of them say that if it wasn't for the ones that sell goods, if it wasn't for online sales, they would have to move because they're not getting any new traffic. So we have to focus on location. We can't continue to just keep trying to build up this idea of the down. I know we love it. I know that's where the hub of everything was in the beginnings of Park Forest, but we have to think innovative and think forward and think future, and we have to focus on outskirt areas that can generate more traffic for businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on with the next question. The next question is for all of the candidates, and the question is, please react to the new development plan for the Park Forest downtown, both the decision to have it done and its recommendations. We'll start this round of questioning with Ms. Graham.
I don't quite understand the question, but I'm going to answer to the best of my ability. I do support the downtown plan because, like I said, I support downtown and I support shopping locally. And we will have to do that in order to keep our businesses in our downtown. Yeah, I support our downtown business plan. There's pretty much nothing else I can say about that, and I'm not going to say anything else about that, so I'm going to move on.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go through these, because this is for the mayor,
Yes.
this is for the mayor, this is for Wayne. So we're here.
Yes. Okay, we're up to that. Yes.
accommodated. Thank you, Ms. Graham. Mr. Gladstone.
Thank you, Judge. We all, I think I can speak for everybody here, support the downtown and the plan to rejuvenate the downtown. And the plan to find it generates more business, it attracts more business, and we will do almost everything that we can. Innovative means to present our community to our citizens and outside. And I haven't anything more to add to that. So, adios.
Mr. White.
If you don't love him, you got a problem. Again, it hopefully does not coming off that I'm not supportive of the downtown plan because I live 5 minutes from downtown. I love walking with my family and participating in some of the businesses that's there. But my idea is to continue to think innovative and think outside the box and think of what we can do to utilize some of the land around us. I sat and met with Dr. Thomas of the Rich Township School District 227, and at one point he was talking about giving Rich East back to Park Forest. As much as I love and I fought hard for trying to keep that school open, I lost the job trying to do that. But in that, if we can receive that land there, that's another large, area that we can focus on bringing new businesses. So of course I support the downtown, initiative, but we have to be innovative and think outside the box and utilize land that we have surrounding us. Hopefully we can do something in this upcoming election to change some things around to keep our beloved Rich East. I was the last junior varsity head coach there, and I love our school, but if not, we have to think forward and move in a forward direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Downtown Park Forest was born from the Park Forest Plaza. Park Forest Plaza was actually one of the first plazas in the country, developed by our founder, Philip Klutznick, along with Manuel O'Carroll. It's important that we do what we can to revitalize downtown Park Forest. It's the center of the village. It is realistically, in many ways, a heartbeat. We're downtown Park Forest. Some of, as Tiffany mentioned, Tall Grass is here. It's art festival, it's here. The Illinois Philharmonic is based here. Everybody wants movie theater, I think we're going to give it back, but a lot of special, so we owe it to the residents, we owe it to the legacy of the village to continue to do what we can to keep downtown Park Forest vibrant. And I'm on the planning committee, and I will tell you, if you've not had a chance, I believe you can go to the village website and look up the plans. It's a great plan. Of course, I have questions about sustainability. I have questions about just the ability to afford it. But I will tell you, when you think about some of the things that make Homewood great, some of the things that make Flossmoor great, they have a walkable downtown. Madison, Richmond Park, and Lincolnfield Stone. And this could potentially give us an advantage over some of our neighbors. Chicago Heights doesn't. So, but the main thing is to getting the village to buy in and getting the village to support it. It's important that we don't say we want this. We want a grocery store, but we don't shop at the grocery store, right? We want a movie theater, but we don't go see the movies there. So I think it's important that once this plan is implemented, that we as a board do what we can to make sure that the residents know about it and support it. And we really need to celebrate having a great, and I won't say vibrant, but potentially vibrant downtown Park Forest.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal? All right, hearing none. The next, we'll continue with the questioning. And this question is directed specifically to Mr. Randall White. Mr. White, what were the circumstances that led to your removal from the Youth Commission?
That's a very, very intense question. Thanks for asking that. My circumstances for the removal of the Youth Commission is I wasn't reappointed to that board after the end of a certain term. Your term runs out. And so my term ran out and I wasn't reappointed to that board. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to respond? All right. There's been a request to have our mayoral candidate come up and be introduced. So we'd like to have Mr. Joe Moore. Mr. Joe Woods, sorry, Mr. Woods to come forward. I did see that, I guess he's...
He just stepped out.
And the question is, Park Forest has 2 women that are still missing. What steps will you take to assure that the police department continues to investigate? We'll start this round of questioning and answers with Mr. Gladstone. Mr. Gladstone.
Well, not being an FBI agent, I find it very difficult to directly answer the question other than to say, as a trustee, I would make sure that we are, as a police department, communicating with the various agencies, looking to see if there is anything that it can possibly be done in any kind of investigative way, and try to support the community, and to continue to ask the community if it knows of anything that perhaps wasn't discussed with the authorities, to find out what can be done with that. Other than that, I wish I could help.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Moore. Sorry.
I think,
Now, stand corrected. Mr. White.
Yes, I can actually speak to what I've done personally to try to help towards that. The police, I think, are doing the job. I don't want to say they're doing the best. I think there's some different things that they can implement a little bit more, especially after speaking to the families that kind of felt that they were let down a little bit, particularly with not just Park Forest, with women of color. They go missing throughout this country, and it seems as if at times they don't get the same vigor of treatment. But what I did myself was we held a number of different forums and different conversations with community members to ask if they see anything, and also getting out with flyers and knocking on doors. As I was going about campaigning and getting my signatures, I was handing out flyers as well of the 2 missing young ladies. We also did a candle vigil right here at the Dining on the Green, where we did a prayer and united together with the community to just get the awareness out of the 2 missing young ladies. So that's one of the things that I want to continue to. Anytime you're missing a child or missing a family member, it's a heartbreaking thing, and you want to feel like that you're getting the best treatment and the best help that you can to get your family members back. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
we start with just saying the names, Derek Laws and Brenda Jackson. There was a mural celebrating them or reminding us of them on Orchard. And when, as Mr. Gladstone said, we're not FBI agents, we don't have the ability, but the strongest thing that the village can do, the village board can do, is making sure they're not forgotten. And we start that by saying their name, Derek Laws and Brenda Jackson. And, the families haven't given up, we're not gonna give up. And as a village, we just have to continue to lift them up and lift their families up. And also know that their stories also need to be instructive to make sure that we don't lose any more, right? So as a village, it's really what we can do, all we can really do is just lift them up and make sure that the police department knows it's a priority to find them. And if not find them, at least let us know what happens.
Thank you. Ms. Graham?
So, John took all of the words that were formulated in my head about this question, because I did want to mention the mural. I think that was an
Microphone,
excellent.
please.
Louder.
I keep forgetting to get the microphone a little closer. I apologize. But I was just saying, I'm just going to continue to make sure that the police know that the families are still looking for them, and we need to keep them on the books until we actually find answers. It's not like, okay, we did a visual, we did the mural, and it's over. It's not going to be over until these families get answers. So that's one thing that I have been doing is just calling the police department periodically and asking them, you know, what's going on? Have we found anything? Is there any new answers that we can provide the family with? Are we communicating with the family? Are we letting them know what's going on? And the only other thing I can do is pray that these families get the answer that they need. Because like Mr. Gladstone said, we're not FBI agents.
Thank you, Ms. Graham. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to proceed to give each candidate an opportunity to present a closing statement. And after each candidate has presented a 2-minute closing statement, we're then going to bring up Mr. Joseph Woods, mayoral candidate. We'll bring him forward to give him an opportunity to address you. So we'll start with, in alphabetical order, closing statement. We'll start first with Mr. Gladstone.
Again, I wish to thank the nonpartisan commission. I appreciate, I have to thank my wife too, by the way. She's letting me do this. And what I like about that is I have the support of my family. I believe in this community. We have stayed in this community a long time. We are working for this town, not to recover what it once was. That's not going to happen. But I want us to become better. I'm not sure what that means, but I do believe that with people who have the dream of quality, of beauty, we have all the parks we need. I walk around, Central Park is wonderful. All the other parks, yes, even the one half completed, is going to be wonderful at some point. We are going to be pushing, COVID got in the way, but we're not going to let COVID stop Park Forest becoming the quality place we moved to and the quality place where we find ourselves right now. We have to have confidence in our future. We have to just simply believe and push, not sitting back. We must get involved. We must get other people to participate with us. Our vision is a common vision. We hold it dear, and the mere fact that all of us are in this room and hopefully watching on the internet, we have that common vision for this town. And that's why I wish to be trustee here in Park Forest. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Graham?
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate you being our moderator today. Thank you to
Mike again.
Mike?
I don't know if they heard you say it, but...
And I'm gonna repeat it just for you. Thank you, Judge Funderburg, for being our moderator today. As I did call him Judge Funderburg. He's actually inducted me each time I've been inducted as a trustee. Every time I've chosen you. So thank you. Also, I'd like to thank the nonpartisan committee and League of Women Voters and my parents. On election day, please cast your vote to re-elect Tiffany Graham, candidate for trustee of Village of Park Forest. I don't do this for the title, the money, or as a stepping stone towards another position in politics. I do this because I love and I care for this community. This is personal for me. I look forward to continuing to work with the board, our local legislators, and residents to help be the successful growth and development of Park Forest. And if you'd like a yard sign to support me, please see my parents. They're the awesome people in the front row.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Again, thank you to the nonpartisan committee, Judge. I've heard a lot about you. I've never met you. It was a pleasure to meet you. And thank you to those of you who came today. You guys are actually more dedicated than my dad, who decided he would rather watch Jalen Hurts than see his son participate in a candidates forum. But one of the reasons why I'm running for Park Forest, and part of the reason why I'm staying in Park Forest, is it's a great place. In the creative space, I'm working on a project that is about Park Forest. And for those of you who don't know, Park Forest is something a lot of experts throughout the country, probably throughout the world, know of. Whether it's our origins as a planned community, our affordable housing, our integration efforts, it's something to be proud of. And I'm running for trustee to be a part of that, to make a difference. And the other thing, though, too, is between now and April, I want to make sure I'm the type of candidate, I hope my colleagues on this panel as well, are giving people not someone to vote for, but a reason to vote. If you look at it, the people who impact our property taxes, so we talked a lot about property taxes, you know that the turnout in municipal elections, the people who raise or lower your property taxes, is extremely low. And we have to change that. If we want better schools, we want a better village, if we want a better quality of life, it all starts by people getting out and getting engaged and voting in the April election. So if you want to learn more about me, my website is More for Park Forest. And I would like to, and I'm going to be quirky here for a sec, but if you want more for Park Forest, vote for me. Thank you very much.
Mr. White.
Yes, I want to close out with going back to a question that was asked. I kind of was thrown off when it was asked, and I want to reiterate. I wasn't put off the Park Forest Youth Commission. I wasn't reestablished. My term went out. When you challenge systems and you challenge things for whatever reason, a lot of times you seem like you fall on political divides. They group you with people and they say you're with this person. And so with that, in politics, you create lines down the middle of the sand. And with that, some things doesn't fall in your favor. I fought to keep Rich East open and lost my job for that. I stood against the political elected officials of that day. It's actually still in office. Hopefully we can change that. I pushed the envelope. I'm vocal, I'm vibrant, I'm young, and we don't do everything right. We do things, sometimes we mess up. We hit our heads. And one of the verses is actually not a verse, but it's quoted in the church world. We call the old because they know the way. We call the young because they're strong. I look to be that strength for this upcoming generation in Park Forest. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for the long haul. And that anvil eventually has to get turned over. And with that said, I want to be that voice for this next upcoming generation and to lead them into a great place that Park Forest once was, is now, and will continue to be. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was just going to say and ask that we give all of our candidates for trustee Tuesday, April 4th is election day. Please vote for the candidate of your choice on Tuesday, April 4th. At this time, we're going to conclude the session with our trustee candidates, and we're going to bring up Mr. Woods shortly.